I read somewhere that's where the word spirits or bebida espirituosa comes from, because you were able to retrieve the very spirit of the wine.
Hi, and welcome to the Liquor Connoisseur. I'm Crystal, and we are here today with a special guest trying a brand new spirit for you all called Bacanora. So I will let Rodrigo introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Rodrigo Bujorquez Burs. I am the master distiller and chairman and founder as well of Kilinga Bacanora here in Alamos, Sonora, Mexico. And I'm very excited to explain or answer any questions you have about the spirit that we proudly produce here in the Sonoran Desert.
Yeah, I had never heard of Bacanora, and it was fun doing the research because of that, to learn about the prohibition in Sonora. It almost
Yes.
feels like they forgot about Bacanora for about 80, 90 years.
That's pretty much it. That's about the conclusion I've arrived to doing research on my own. The prohibition was lifted for other spirits, but for some reason nobody remembered to lift the ban on Bacanora, and that added to the whole mystique per se behind the spirit and everything, and part of those traditions that grew that developed for the better part of a century, that was like sort of the outlaw side, like outside the law thing, and that all mystique around it.
Okay, so there's a little bootlegging going on.
Definitely, yeah. It was they a lot of people got in trouble.
Oh man. So learning the difference between mezcal, tequila, now Bacanora, it's an agave spirit.
Yes.
Agave is so versatile. What types of agave do you use to make Bacanora?
We only use one. All over Mexico, there's like 250 plus different kinds of agave. Not all of them can be used for distilling or producing alcohol, but of the ones that are suitable for that, we only use one. The one that grows wild here it's native to the state, and it's called Angustifolia pacifica or Yaquiana. And Yaquiana, it pretends to the southern part of the state, where the Yaqui Valley is, where the Yaqui tribes still thrive here. There's big populations of Yaquis here in southern Sonora, and it's a very particular. It's a close cousin to the espadin that grows in other places in Mexico. But here, it had its own adaptations in order to adapt to the extreme heat and the weather conditions here during the summer, and also it can Sonora can have very harsh winters as well. They don't last very long, but there's very cold nights and days here, some parts of the year that'll pretty much freeze and kill a lot of the local flora. But the agave found a way in its evolution. The agave, it's native to here, to withstand all those extreme environmental pressures on it. So it's became a very particular plant, and also that particularity translate to the expressions that we can achieve with it.
Okay, so it's amazing to hear about the area, the climate. And the cool thing that I love learning about Bacanora was the designation of origin that it received, I believe, was it 2000?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it can only be made within that area. Is it the eastern region of Sonora?
Yes, it's actually 35 different places, particular places in its municipalities, or apparently can relate it to counties, if you will.
Okay.
In different parts of the state, but it's only 35 of them. And we've just gotten a permit or sorts to start growing it in the valley. Some people have, in order to increase the production, because a lot of people are taking it out of the wild and it's decimating the populations. As that same problem started to happen in Oaxaca and Michoacan and Guerrero and all those places that produce mezcal. A lot of people went and harvested from the wild, and they didn't give the agave enough time to replenish itself, like reproduce and flourish. So here we're that mandate. I think it was a mandate from the governor. Is pointed into to contrarrest the effect that illegal harvesting has been having, and it's I think it's as of now it's having a positive impact on the wild population.
Okay. So you started Kilinga Bacanora in 2018. What made you start the brand?
Well, I started learning about Bacanora and planting agaves back in 2009, and then once I had the agaves planted, I tried a Bacanora. I didn't particularly enjoy it before that, um, and I tried one that really got to me. That it was I thought it was fantastic, something I with certain characteristics that I've never had before. And it got into my mind to learn the process and learn how to do it and learn more about it at that point. And I started really getting into the distilling process. I've never done any distilling before. I had all the experience I had was a little bit in the kitchen. I like to cook, but nothing relating to distilling or anything like that. I found it interesting, and the more I read about it, the more I learned, the more into it I got, and it got to a point that I went to and stayed in Oaxaca for a while in order to learn how to. I had the basics on distillation. I had done a few runs that were awful, by the way, but I went and learned like where try to learn where I was making the mistakes, and so I went there. I learned even more, and when I got to produce the first time something that I enjoyed, it got into my head that I wanted to make a bacanora that was the most elegant expression of that the agave in here in the southern Sonora desert could give me. So I sort of went into that journey in searching for that, and I still am on that journey. I don't think this is perfect, but it's something that I very very much enjoy. And the source of founding the company was because mom and dad knocked on my door one day, and they came over, had a drink, and they proposed a business deal with me, and then my mom dad got on board, and then I have three sisters. They all ponied in some of their funds, and then we created this whole adventure now.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
It's a
that
family
that that was
affair.
pretty much the whole journey in order to from something that was out of curiosity, then it turned to a hobby, and then family enjoyed the drink that I made, and then they all pulled in and turned it into a business with me.
That's awesome. So this is my first time really learning and enjoying the spirit. We
Hmm?
have your Silvestre, Blanco, and Reposado. Can you walk us through the
Great.
proper tasting?
Yes, the tasting. Well, I have these things sort of fun. The very best, I believe, it's neat because you get to experience the firsthand the character of each expression. I would recommend you to start off with the Silvestre, which I was enjoying earlier. Gather a little bit of saliva in the tip of your, and like in the front of your mouth, and then kiss it just a little sip, and then swirl it around. Let it coat your mouth, and then when you swallow, inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Exhale through your mouth and sort of go crazy like that. And
Oh,
then
wow.
as the more you let air into it, it'll oxidize in your mouth, and then it start blooming, and it'll give you different layers and different aspects of the drink, and then you can really let it sit and bloom, and it's all the aromas and the flavors and everything will really explode in your mouth.
Yes, it does. I definitely get
So
some.
and
Yeah.
the saliva part is all those enzymes start the digestive process in the bacanora,
Okay.
so it sort of breaks the molecules apart, and it'll make it a more volatile in your mouth.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely got that. It's very herbaceous. I get that smokiness, but it's a sweet type of smoke. It's not a harsh smoke at all.
It's sort of I mentioned I like cooking. I refer to it as when you grill a steak in like mesquite wood or post oak or whatever you want to do or smoke it. It's not it's it complements the agave rather than overpowering everything and just being like overpoweringly smoky. So it's sort of like it harmonizes the whole thing.
It does, and I'm getting to the finish now, and it just keep like you said, it's that layering.
Hmm.
That was
Yeah,
delicious.
it plays out like a symphony in the mouth, and it'll that tune will keep going for a little bit.
I love that. We talk a lot about notes in the spirits, but there
Hmm.
is such a correlation to music. You see other brands that will play classical music as they're going through fermentation. So it's nice to
Hmm.
see the
I do
collaboration.
too. I
Oh, okay.
do too. And I have it tuned to a certain frequency as well in order for it to be more harmonious and it just be in sync and tune and how the yeast be very sort of relaxed and have them do their job with no interference and everything. So with no stress.
I love it. That is awesome. I'm learning more and more about the process to make agave spirits, and this is probably about the third or fourth brand that I've seen that does that.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. I read an article and I saw a documentary about probably I won't recall the this scientist's name, but I remember he's from Japan and he did a documentary on and it's called The Memory of Water. And then he started freezing the water at different frequencies that sounding at different frequencies and you could see the crystals form and in that some frequencies the shapes were more harmonious and beautiful and that other frequencies became the crystals were like sharp and just like out of sync like it formed very odd looking shapes and so I really got that into my mind. And when I got to the distillery, well, on my way to the distillery, I bought a couple of speakers and put them in there and like had like a memory stick and played like over and over again the same tunes, like the same 20 25 tunes or something like that. But yeah, it's something that we play in the fermentation room and also in where we rest the spirits after we distill them and have them ready to bottle. I'll rest them for anywhere from 5 to 6 months with that music playing all day 24/7 in there.
That's really neat.